Hey, it is Mr. K. Welcome back to our next lecture in AP Lit, lecture number 11. Today we are going to work on developing a defensible claim about an interpretation of a text. Specifically, this lesson is going to help you discuss the concept of a claim, establish what it is, and examine its significance to thinking and writing. Okay, so our goals. We want to understand, or we need to really understand what a claim is. We need to understand why claims are important, and we need to understand how to think about claims. Now, this is, if you look at the first 10 lectures so far, it has been covering content itself about literature. Let's talk about character. Let's talk about setting. Let's talk about plot. Let's talk about narrator. You know what I mean? This lecture and really the next lecture, kind of lecture 11, 12, what they do is it's almost like we stop, and this is a lecture on how to talk about 1 through 10. We're kind of looking back and saying, okay, now, AP Lit is all about reading and analyzing and critiquing, and breaking down and sifting through, things like that. But it's also about coming up with some sort of output. Like, now I'm going to speak about literature, and I'm going to put my analysis actually down on paper. That's what today really is. So for my students who have took Lang with me, today might be like some pretty heavy review, which I'm comfortable with. Reviewing things is good, right? But this is like how to argue a point about literature. That's what today is all about. So we need to talk about what a claim is, not just for the purposes of like my class or this lecture or anything like that, but CollegeBoard, they are wise in realizing that this is something that even this terminology claim, this works in basically any course, right? And so a claim is a statement that requires defense with evidence from the text. Now, you can make a claim about literature. I can make a claim about a short story, about a character, and give my reasoning for it, etc. But I can also make a claim about a scientific truth, or a mathematical truth, or you know what I mean? Like, you can make claims about anything. I am claiming that black coffee is the superior drink because, it's, it has caffeine, keeps me awake, and it has a superior taste. And, I'm giving my reasonings. I can make a claim about anything, but it's any statement that requires defense. That's really the key. Saying, this is a pen is not really the kind of claim we're looking for. That's not really something that would be debated by people in the right mind. That it's a pen. But to make the claim that Don Quixote is like, the greatest piece of literature that we have because it, not only creates kind of the canon, helps to create the canon of literature as we know it, but also breaks so many of the rules of the canon, or something like that. That's something that would be like, someone could step in and say, well, no, I disagree actually with this point or this point or this point, and I would have to give evidence for that from the text itself. So that's a claim. A claim is another way to think through it. It is an accumulation of individual ideas that are brought together in a cohesive manner to form one original and insightful idea. It is, you read a text and you're taking in information constantly, the character and the structure and the setting, the plot, the narration, the figurative language, all that. You're taking all of those things in, and you're seeing what kind of commonalities there are, and all these different ideas, and you are synthesizing it down to one original, insightful idea, and then expanding on that idea. And that's really the key. If you can do that, that's AP Lit. Is that process. So where do these ideas come from as you read literature? If you notice an important sentence or what you deem to be an important sentence, that's an idea. If you see a key word, that's an idea. A whole paragraph that seems crucial, that's an idea. Or a symbol emerges, that is an idea, right? I'm sorry, you don't want to hear it, but this is why not for everything I assign, but for many things that I assign, I make my students annotate. I know you hate me for it. I'm sorry. But I have them look for what do you notice about character and structure, figurative language. All of those are just, you're generating ideas. And you don't have to annotate everything you read all the time. If you're just kind of reading before bed and you're just doing it for enjoyment or whatever, that's fine. I happen to kind of like the process of annotating, but I don't do it every time. I just read for enjoyment. I just read because I want to. But if you're reading for analysis sake, noticing these things, sentences and words, and paragraphs and symbols, those are ideas. All of that is fair game, right? If it's in the text, and you can discuss it. You can discuss something's significance within a text. It's fair game, And so all this evidence from the text feeds those ideas, and all of those ideas mixed together, synthesized together, makes a single claim. And really, guys, the evidence is the key. If I say that, Don Quixote is a novel primarily about UFOs, or something, that's stupid, but you know what I mean? Something just outlandish. Not like I made a claim, it's an idea I had. Well, no, there's literally no evidence for that, right? And of course, that's an outlandish example to say there are limits. There are limits to what is arguable, what you can prove with evidence. But also, it is, I think any one book can be a really unlimited source of conversation, depending on who's reading it and what they're talking about, what they're interested in, and what they bring to the table as a reader. And, so anyways, all these pieces of evidence feed the ideas, and those ideas all together feed the claim, right? What is important about this? Why do we care about the claims? Well, first of all, at the forefront of our minds, it's one of the 6 points on the AP Literature rubric. Your essay, your analysis of a piece of fiction, it has to make a claim. And if your claim is that this short story was written in response to, World War II, and that's just a fact, well, that's not a claim. You have to really read the thing and be like, okay, I need to make a defensible claim, something that needs proof, and then I need to prove it, And it's a benefit, I mentioned this earlier, but it's a beneficial skill that exists across courses. I truly believe, now I can only speak as an English teacher, but I would go out on a limb and say that this skill of taking in information from multiple sources and synthesizing it down to an idea and then arguing that idea with evidence from those sources, I would say that is easily a top 3 skill that I want my students to understand and be able to really do effectively. If they get to the end of any course of mine and they can't do that, I find that to be a problem, right? So that's why it's important. Okay, a couple ideas about the claims. Claims come from the evidence from the text. I kind of harped on that idea already, but your claim has to be able to be backed up by evidence. Now, 2 readers might use the same evidence for different ideas or even competing ideas. That's kind of one of the beautiful things about talking through literature is there's obviously going to be disagreement, but you have to substantiate it with evidence. It synthesizes smaller ideas into a bigger cohesive whole. So looking for all these little details that are sprinkled throughout constantly in a text, and then looking for sort of big motifs, movements in a piece. Claims are really meant to have insight and originality. That is difficult, and that's hard to teach, honestly. I do that with students, honestly, just by repetition. I want you to read this, and I want you to come up with a claim. And then as they're writing the claim, I'm like, okay, show me. This is too vague. No, can you really prove this? This is just a fact. I mean, it just takes practice, and it demonstrates mature thinking. Especially for those of you I don't know, I'm not making any comment on your maturity as a person. But what I'm saying is that a writer, a thinker, a person who can do what I've been talking about, this process of taking multiple ideas and synthesizing them down to their kind of essence and then arguing for that claim, that shows a maturity that is crucial, not just for the lit exam, but just for life, right? So today's goals, this is obviously, we are leading into not only the next lecture, but sort of looking at the year and how we're going to talk about literature. But we needed to understand what a claim is. All right, can you tell me what a claim is in your own words? We need to understand why they're important in literature and in life. So I hope this video has helped illuminate some of those ideas, and I will see you next time, my friends.